Oh, shit.
Hey, what's up, everyone? One back 2 weeks later, back for another deep dive, and I got Metal Ben with me this
Ben.
time. Yeah, obviously the last time y'all had seen me do something like this, obviously it was Shape of Despair, and I did mention that was when I had made at the beginning that my grandma boss had passed away at the time, so I needed to do that deep dive to get it off to keep myself distracted from all of that. But I've had time to at least in some case grieve all of that. But I knew I had to continue to work on this and obviously get ready for this next one, which we are. Who are we talking about, Ben?
The Kings of Prog Metal, Dream Theater.
Yep, one of the kings of Prague. I think when you think of like the big ones of prog metal, you instantly think, obviously you think of them. You think of Fate's Warning. You also think of Symphony X as well.
Yep. But
Like
yeah,
those are the big three of prog metal, progressive metal. Welcome to the stream, Jason. Glad to have you here. But yes, we're going over the entire discography, all 16 albums, including the new one, that I have on my phone, Parasomnia. All 16 of them. And then at the end, we'll do rank them all and stuff like that. So let's begin with how we got into and discovered and got into this band. So, Ben, why don't you start it off?
all right. Well, I guess you could say I've been pretty much there since almost the beginning. I first got into Dream Theater when I first heard Pull Me Under on an FM radio station of all things way back in 1992. And that's my introduction to Dream Theater. Pull Me Under was the song, obviously. I liked it. I thought, man, there's some good stuff in this track, some heavy riffs. You know, for something being played on radio at that time, too, it's different, because. And the thing that really gravitated me too was like the heavy metallic guitar sound that John Petrucci had and the drumming that Mike Portnoy had. I'm like, wow, they kind of have a. I didn't know what to call it at the time because I was only 13 now. So I didn't know much about progressive rock or prog metal or none of that stuff. So I thought to me, oh, this is just heavy metal or whatever. And yeah, right away I was hooked. I thought the song was real catchy. I remember hearing images and words not too long after and really liking the album. And that's pretty much how I started. I always thought Petrucci was a great guitar player too. Always had phenomenal leads. And yeah, the thing that was different too is they had a keyboardist too. And at the time they had Kevin Moore on keyboards, which gives the music or gave the music a different atmosphere. So 1992, the track Pull Me Under, that was my beginnings when it comes to getting into Dream Theater.
Yep. Yeah, I think me it's the complete opposite because obviously when you were hearing that, I was just a baby at the time. But my introduction to the band Dream Theater was when I just got out of high school. So this would have been probably late 2009. I was trying to discover some of these new bands I had never heard of and stuff like that. And Dream Theater was one of those. And I think at the time it was their new album, Black Clouds and Silver Linings. And I think one of the things at the time that was kind of popular around that time were sites like LimeWire were around. So it was like getting stuff from that. So it was like Fozzy, it was like Gojira, who was there? Cradle of Filth, Cannibal Corpse, Black Dahlia Murder I was getting into at the time. But Dream Theater, who else was there? Mars Volta, who kind of did help play a part in me liking progressive music, whether it's prog rock or prog metal. But Dream Theater was kind of an interesting one hearing. I think it was. At the time, I didn't hear the epics, the longer songs that bookend that album, A Nightmare to Remember and The Count of Tuscany. I didn't hear those ones. I just heard the middle parts, which would have been The Rite of Passage, Wither, Shattered Fortress, and The Best of Time. Best of Time was much more recent, and then I kind of got back into listening to that album and, loving the hell out of it. And then I think it was after that getting, I think the first album, and I might show it here because I still have my original copy of it, my first one was A Dramatic Turn of Events. Vince from 2011. And then after that, I've been kind of liking the older stuff, the stuff with Portnoy pretty much, because he wasn't in the band anymore at that point. So eventually, after Black Clouds, he eventually left. But I thought at that time that was probably my favorite, and I kind of started, because I kind of got into them when they kind of were at the lowest point in their career, pretty much. So y'all will see how much that is for me. So yeah, that's basically, I guess, say how I got into Dream Theater, pretty much. So yes, now we get into a little bit about the band. I believe they started in 1985 when obviously Petrucci, Portnoy, and Young, who were at the Berklee College of Music, they decided to start a band. And they were originally called Majesty. They had a logo and everything, which I believe they still use the logo to this very day, I believe, which was the Majesty logo. They had the original vocals. They got Kevin Moore, obviously. And then they got the first ever vocalist they ever got was called Chris Collins. I knew it was the name Collins, but I couldn't remember the first one. And they were friends of Petrucci, obviously. Kevin stuck around after recording and releasing the Majesty demos. Collins left and was replaced by a much older guy, a guy named Charlie Dominici, and they would, after legal action from another band called Majesty, eventually changed their name to Dream Theater, and the name has stuck ever since. And we get to their debut album, When Dream and Day Unite, which Ben has it, surprisingly. I'm surprised by that.
Yes.
So, Ben, your thoughts on When Dream and Day Unite?
All right, so I kind of came into this album many years later. In fact, in the 90s, I didn't even really know this album existed till I was reading a Metal Edge magazine. I think it's a Metal Edge.
Oh, nice.
Where they showed or it might have been Metal Maniac. I can't remember right now. It's one of the magazines, but I saw, they put up their discography that they had at the time, or, they put up their discography that they had at the time. And this would have been around the time when Scenes of a Memory came out, I believe, or Scenes from...
Yeah, that would have been they would have only been 5 albums into their career at that time.
Yeah, and then in the listing, they showed When Day and Dream Unite, excuse me. And right away, I was kind of like curious, what's this sound like? Now, it took me a long time to get a copy of this. And actually, I listened to it on YouTube. I want to say I first heard it in like 2005 when YouTube was fairly new. 2005 or 2006. It was one of them years when I finally heard the album. And at the time, I thought, yeah, it's a pretty good effort for a band just starting out.
Yeah.
I think the vocals, I don't know. At the time, they didn't really resonate with me, maybe because I'm so used to James LeBray,
Exactly, yeah.
And I didn't really know much about Charlie Dominici, and then I find out, well, he was like 10 years older than the guys in the band.
Exactly. There's a reason he's the one that recently passed away, too.
Yes, he did. Yep, rest in peace to Charlie Dominici. So, all in all, it's an album that has definitely grown on me over the years. In fact, I was just spinning it again today, and I was enjoying it more and more, and his voice really has grown on me now. I think Dominici's voice kind of reminds me of maybe a little bit of Geddy Lee. Like he kind of has that Geddy Lee style vocal approach compared to what James LeBray has. And the music on here is definitely much rawer. It doesn't have that clean production that you would get starting with Images and Words and moving on.
Exactly, yeah.
This one too definitely has more of an an AOR feel to it when it comes to the keyboard work. Like Kevin Moore definitely has a different keyboard approach on this album. In fact, I think he sounds more like 80s AOR, kind of like what Asia sounds like, or or a band like
yeah, they kind of would be like that kind of sound. I would think would later be more like um, what Queensryche would be with an album like Empire, the AOR sound.
kind of, yeah. And I mean, right away you could definitely tell the talent in this band. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's kind of hard to read the song titles on here.
yeah, I understandable. It's like it's not like freaking I can pull up freaking Awake or something like that. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
All right, anyways, okay, like the opening track, "A Fortune in Lies," that's a good track. That's a really good track. It's pretty heavy, definitely very proggy. There's a little bit of thrash metal stuff going on. You get some Iron Maiden type of stuff too. You can hear the influence is really good on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Notably, I think John Petrucci's lead guitar playing's a bit different on this album. I hear more of a Malmsteen type of an approach on this one compared to what you would hear in the future. I mean, he's always had like classical influences, but on here you can really hear like a difference a little bit. I can definitely hear some Malmsteen. Of course, you get like excellent, guitar and keyboard trade-offs between him and Kevin Moore.
Yeah.
And Mike Portnoy's drumming's phenomenal on here. And
and all of them are relatively young, aside from Charlie, of course. He was in his, I think 40s at the time, I believe. I could be wrong.
You might actually be right. Well, maybe not that old, but close to 40. Probably.
Yeah, he would definitely been years older.
Yeah, I mean, and John Young sounds good on bass on here. Yeah, the production might be a turnoff to some people because it's definitely different. Like I said, there's other tracks on here that are real good too. The one that really stands out to me, and I apologize, I'm not the greatest at memorizing song titles when I'm not fully familiar with them. So, Afterlife is probably my favorite track on here. That's that's a really good one. Kind of almost has.
Yeah, I think it's the only. I have that written down on here. I believe it's the only sole songwriting credit that Charlie has.
Yes,
because you think of a lot of other people like there's. I think I can mention this quickly is that I think with them is with Dream Theater there's only 2 members have never written lyrics before, and it's the later keyboards, Shermanian and Rudess, because I think they're not because unless Jordan does some lyrics on his solo stuff, I think he's more into writing the music than he is writing lyrics and stuff.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, for a debut album, it's decent. I mean, it's definitely not their best album by no means, but it's.
No.
I mean, would I recommend starting with this album? Probably not, because it doesn't have James LeBray on vocals. Naturally, I wouldn't recommend this album, but it's still a decent listen. Like I said, the production's definitely much more raw. You can definitely hear a lot of reverb in the drums on this album. And that's pretty much all I really got to say about this album.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I've written a little bit more, some more notes about this. Yeah, you mentioned that song. But going back to this is only my second ever listen to this album ever. When I first listened to this, I was like, oh, it's a debut. It's growing pains. They're trying to figure out their sound, obviously. Yeah, Jason, but it's like I don't think it's the worst, but it's definitely at the bottom. But going back and listening to this now, I actually quite enjoyed this album quite a lot. I think it has grown on me because when I was first listening to this, I was like, yeah, they're trying to figure out their sound and theirs. But listening to it this time around, I'm like, there is some highlights on this. One of them, I believe, that made me start to realize, oh, wow, this is actually a really great album. Status Seeker. My God, I enjoyed listening to Status Seeker a lot. And it just like, there was just something about that song that it clicked for me. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually a great song. I actually liked Status Seeker. You know, it was one of those that instantly clicked in my head that I absolutely loved, and it started to click with me that Charlie is a really great vocalist. Not that he's on the level of James LaBrie, but for what if it's the one time he does shine on some of the songs. His vocals are really great on here. Like I said, it's them still trying to figure out the sound, but their sound pretty much. But for what I have, I think this was I think for rating wise, this is great. It's damn near, it doesn't cross over into the fantastic range. So I gave this an 8.75 out of 10. What do you give this, Ben?
I mean, for a debut, I'd probably give this, let me think here. I'm going to go with like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I know that's still not a bad rating, though. 7 out of 10 is pretty accurate, I think, for this one. I just think better things are on their way,
Yep.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Let's not waste time with all of that because we're going to be here for quite a bit, everybody. Let's get into that. Obviously, Charlie eventually would leave, and eventually I think they did some auditions, and they eventually settled on James LaBrie, obviously. And we get to the classic album that everybody knows when you think of the go-to Dream Theater album, Images and Words. So,
here we go.
And Ben's got it. Hell yeah. That's one of theirs I need to get. So, Ben, take it away.
Images and Words. Okay, so pretty much my introduction to Dream Theater when this album was fairly new. I mean, this is a really well put together album, I think. Opening track, Pull Me Under, talked about it in the beginning of this video. It's a phenomenal track. Still gets played live today. Gee, I wonder why. Because it's a killer track. Oh, man, you got other great tracks on there, too. Like Another Day, a little more melodic, but still really good. And yeah, I think this track kind of has more of that AOR 80s type of sound, too, still.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, Kevin Moore was definitely a different style of keyboardist compared to what would come after this. So he gives, there's a lot of atmosphere like in his keyboard playing is what I'm trying to say. Take This Time, another excellent track, man. Just good stuff. Surrounded, again, another great track. Metropolitan Part 1.
Metropolis, Part 1, yep.
Epic. What more could be said? Lots of great musicianship on this track.
Yeah.
Another track that really stands out to me on here, too, is Under a Glass Moon. Man, that track is so good and memorable. And I got to say, James LaBrie, I know a lot of people shit on his vocals. I think his vocals are pretty damn good on this album. And he does some highs on this album, I noticed, compared to...
Oh, yeah, I mean, the high section in Pull Me Under, like, come on, that is the big one that everybody thinks when it comes to his highs.
Right. And then you got Wait for Sleep, a short little track, nothing... It's good. It's, it's not bad at all. Just a little short track.
Yeah, and then it goes into what I believe is their first 10-plus minute song, if I'm correct.
I believe you're right about that. Yes.
Yeah, Learning Live, yep.
Good way to end this album. I like it. A lot of good stuff on this record. I know I'm not really going in complete detail musically on this album, but you got to listen to really observe.
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's a masterpiece for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, we can easily both agree on that easily. For me, easily a masterpiece from start to finish. It's perfect. There's nothing more I can say. Yeah. All the thing is this is an essential. This is a go-to Dream Theater album. You want to get into this band? It's this. Or maybe say another album we'll get to later. But instantly you want to get into them, Images and Words. Yes, perfect. 10 out of 10. Not much more I can say. I can agree with you on that. 10 out of 10.
All right. So
Yes.
Notably, one more thing I want to mention. One guy that did audition for Dream Theater was John Arch, the original Fates Warning vocalist. Figured I'd throw that in there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. But they settled on Labrie,
Yep.
and he's been the vocalist ever since. All right, not much history going into it. Let's get into. Finally, I'll show an album that I feel we both have.
I forgot to give my ranking.
Oh yeah, what is your rating wise?
All right,
Because I give it a 10. I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm giving it a 9.75 out of 10.
Oh no! Oh God! Yeah.
I think for me it's that short little 1 minute interlude track or whatever.
It doesn't bother me at all. You know.
Not that it's bad, but
yes, but nothing in between. Awake now. Finally get to show an album of theirs. Finally.
There we go.
Yep, we both got it. Yeah, finally, yes. So, Ben, talk about Awake.
All right, so this came out in 1994. I have memories of this album. Man, the day it got released, I guess people thought this record was gonna, or the record shops thought this album was gonna sell like Images and Words did. So I remember, man, walking into Sam's Goodies and Camelot Music way back then. And they had this CD stocked everywhere.
Damn.
I mean, this album did okay for him. Unfortunately, it didn't sell as well as, Images and Words did. However, I got to say, I think this is a phenomenal album.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. The opening track, 6 o'clock, that track is killed.
I know it's kind of something from like I think a movie or something, but when the guy, I think the voice says 6 o'clock on a Christmas morning, I felt like I hear a little bit like it almost sounds like James Hetfield a little bit.
I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
It's kind of like I was just waiting, expecting him to say yeah or something like that. It just sounded like him a little bit.
That'd be pretty funny. All right, so 6 o'clock in the morning, freaking killer track. Caught in the Web's really cool too. I like that track.
Really the Web. Yeah, hell yeah,
really catchy, memorable. Oh, let's see. There's a lot of good stuff on here.
Yep. Then you got, I think the 3 song suite thing. I forgot what they call it.
Here we go.
What do they call it? A Mind Beside Itself. That's what it is.
Okay, I got a better look at the track listing here.
Yeah, because the book, you can actually see the track listing.
Okay, Innocence Faded. That's another good track on this record. I think it's
hell yeah. I'm glad I was listening to this on repeat. Frick yeah, hell yeah.
This album, too, has a really strange production. There's something about it. It sounds very different compared to...
Yeah, it says here, produced, engineered, and mixed by John Purdell and Duane Barron.
Yeah, it almost has like a worldly production, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Innocence Faded's good. Oh, man, we get some heavy shit on this one, too. This is where John Petrucci starts using 7-string guitars.
Nice.
Still having a hell of a time reading. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking down here too, and I'm noticing me Young on here. I can clearly see he's starting to use a 6-string bass. Oh, lie. Frick yeah, that's.
Let's see why it's a heavy track.
Lie. Obviously, I think this is also the first Dream Theater album to have a sole songwriting credit from Mike Portnoy, The Mirror.
Oh, yes, The Mirror. That's another excellent track on here, too. That's one of his 12 Steps tracks.
No, it's not. It starts on 6 Degrees.
Oh, I thought that was one of them.
No, this is one of those. I think this might have been one of those. He writes something personal or something like that. I could be wrong or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, not on this one yet. Yeah, we'll get to those later. But
I believe, The Mirror's a pretty heavy song, if I can remember.
Yeah.
The The Silent Man's good. I mean, there's a lot of good. I think there's a lot of good stuff on here.
Yep.
Scarred's good. I mean, yeah, it's a good album. I mean, and this would be the final album.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, all in all, I mean, yeah. Like I said, they were expecting this album to blow up in '94. That actually really didn't. I mean, it did okay for them, don't get me wrong. All in all, I think it's still a good album, you know.
Yep.
It's a bit heavier, too, so yeah.
But what would you give this a rating?
Now, this one I'd give probably an 8.5 out of 10, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, I think for me, I would have it a little bit lower than Images and Words. Mostly I'm like, yep, it's definitely some of the songs sound like the same from Images and Words, but there's some, like you said, some heavier songs. I think in some cases, James's vocals sound a little bit more raspier on this one. This is where I think he was like the most raspiest he's ever sounded, or he's starting to sound a little bit raspier on this, especially if you hear on 6 o'clock, you know, his vocals are so raspy. Like, it's just like, damn.
Raspier, and I think he sings higher on this album.
Yeah, definitely.
His vocals are definitely different on this album.
Yep. But yeah, I give this a 9.75. I think it's a fantastic follow up to an otherwise a masterpiece for this band. But yeah, like you said, this is the last with Kevin Moore. He leaves. They try to do some auditions, and one of the people they were trying to get was Jordan Rudess. But unfortunately, that was unsuccessful. So they went and got someone who also went to, I believe, Berklee College of Music on the keyboards, Derek Sherinian. They put out, well, obviously, I think also during this, James Labrie eventually also got a violent food poisoning while on vacation to Cuba with his wife. This basically ruptures his vocal cords and make his vocals to be unpredictable until we get to 6 Degrees, pretty much. But also during that, after that, once they got Sherinian, they put out an EP, A Change of Seasons. I wish I would talk about this, but I'm like, you know, I was debating about talking about this, but yet they put this one out.
It's a killer track. That's all I'm going to say today.
Yeah, the 23-minute, perfect song. The song is perfect. I've written about it. Yeah, it's a perfect song. Absolutely great. But then they went into the studio and things start to get a little bit rocky. They were also had a certain person who would later work for Iron Maiden. This was, I think, one of a handful of albums, I think 4, where they had Kevin Shirley. Kevin Caveman Shirley was working, but he was the one that solely worked with the band on this, because at the time the label wanted them to make another Images and Words. They wanted him to make another Pull Me Under, basically. Yep. And we get to 1997's Falling into Infinity. Take it away, Ben.
Well, yeah, this one, as you see, there's some changes already. The Dream Theater logo's different. Yes. And at that time, they were already planting the seeds for Scenes from a Memory too, which we'll talk about then.
Yep. Talk about that here shortly.
Yeah, this one is definitely an attempt at trying to write for mainstream rock radio.
Yeah, because like I said, the label wanted them to do another Pull Me Under. Which, and they were getting kind of frustrated and stuff like that at that point.
Right. So this one definitely lacks heaviness. There's not a lot of heavy stuff on this one. I mean, is there good stuff on here? Yeah, there's some good stuff on here.
Yep. Yeah. The first song, New Millennium, freaking. If memory serves me right, that is the only song where I believe Me Young uses a Chapman stick.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, because every time I see them play that live, he's using a Chapman stick.
All right, so yeah, New Millennium's real good. You Not Me, that's definitely an attempt at radio. In fact, at the time, it was getting played on radio. Sounds very much like what Metallica would write at that time. Yeah, it's very mainstream sounding.
Yeah, but it's Dream Theater, so as much as I love Metallica at the time, but it's Dream Theater. They'll blow Metallica out of the wet water.
Absolutely. Let's see, we got Peruvian Skies. It's whatever.
I thought I did enjoy that one.
Hollow Years is a ballad. Like it's I don't know, man. it's pretty much a ballad the whole entire way through it. Is it bad? Not necessarily, but it's not really what I want to hear with Dream Theater. But it does get slightly better. The heaviest track on here, Burning My Soul, that track smokes. Killer track.
Ooh, yeah.
Hell's Kitchen, decent instrumental, not bad. Lines in the Sand's kind of interesting because you get a guest appearance from Doug Pinnick of King's X on this track. Pretty decent track. But then the album really just falls off for me. Every track after this is just really mellow. Like Take My Pain Away, it's all right. It's a ballad though. Just Let Me Breathe, another ballad. Anna Lee, another ballad. And then we get the epic on here, Trail of Tears, which is pretty much a ballad. Yeah, not one of my favorite Dream Theater albums, as you can tell. Is it the worst? Pretty close to it. However, give credit to where credit's due. The stuff that I'm bitching about and not liking, it's well written. I'll say that.
Yep.
Just there's so much more I want to hear out of Dream Theater.
Yeah, I could kind of agree with you on some of this. Like I think the one thing that I think is a positive, I think I've written on here, it's basically kind of sounds this. It's the same kind of sound as Awake, but I think with a kind of a more modern mixed production sound as opposed to theirs. This is kind of where they're starting to sound like what they would be, on future albums after this. It's kind of a more what you would expect from a Dream Theater sound or something like that.
Yes.
In some case, they are starting to sound like modern Dream Theater albums. Hell, some songs, like you mentioned that, some songs even sound like they could fit on future albums, like Anna Lee, Just Let Me Breathe, and Hollow Years, to name a few. The one thing that I kind of take problem with is the ending of Lines in the End was it Lines in the Sand or something like that? I could be wrong, but it just abruptly ends. I was just like, why? I was like, why does it abruptly end? And it goes into the next track. I'm like, what the hell? I don't get that. What the hell?
Yeah, it's a weird one.
But I give this a 9.5. Not much I can say. It's not the best thing from them, but it's like, it's there. But obviously after this, what would you give this rating wise?
I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Oh, that's even no.
Only because there is good musicianship on it, obviously, because it's Dream Theater, but a lot of it's just boring.
Yep. But this is the one and only, Lines in the Sand is what it is, yep. But yes, after this is the one and only full length with Srini, and after this he leaves, and Petrucci and Portnoy tried to get Rudas by obviously doing the Liquid Tension Experiment albums, in which eventually they do convince him to come on board to Dream Theater, and he's been in the band ever since. And this is where they also start to say, we're not going to do what you want us to do. We're going to do what we want to do. Yeah. And they have full control of the band and the production and stuff like that. And we come to a classic within Dream Theater. Obviously, you think of, if I said earlier, there's two albums that if you want to get into Dream Theater, it's either Images and Words or Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory.
Hell yes.
Yeah, and we got this. Ben, let's talk about a masterpiece now.
what more could be said about this album, man? Begins with a freaking narrative. Oh fuck. Yeah, it begins with a narration, kind of. You got this young boy Nicholas pretty much being hypnotized in the beginning, and then the story just begins from there.
Yep.
Man, this album is just a masterpiece. I mean, what more could be said? And yeah, at the time too, actually Atlantic Records permitted them to basically do what they want on the next album.
Yeah, but this is Elektra, actually. They were on Elektra.
I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, Elektra Records. I apologize for that.
Yeah. But
man, just trying to get a good look at the song titles here.
Yep, I mean, I could clearly see them on the back of mine.
Yep.
Regression. Then we get to sing to Overture 1928, one of their iconic, and then Strange Deja Vu.
All right.
I can clearly see the track listing on these.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, Regression's just absolutely killer. What an epic track. Lots of stuff, just a lot of great musicianship going on here. And
the acoustics and stuff like that. Then you get into Overture 1928.
Yes. Yeah, Overture 1928, Strange Deja Vu. Just excellent stuff. Just a masterpiece of music, I mean, I remember buying this way back in 99 when it came out and being blown away by the whole entire album, Like Through My Words is another really great track. Fuck.
Yep. Fatal Tragedy.
Bear with me, people. I'm trying to read this shit. Beyond This Life is good. Through Her Eyes is a ballad, but it's a well-done ballad. Well done.
Yeah. I'll mention about that one. That was...
Yeah, Poem's a really good one. I'm just trying to see here.
Yep, you get one of their other iconic instrumentals, Dance of Eternity.
Dance of Eternity is freaking epic.
Yep.
One Last Time, The Spirit Carries On, Finally Free. Yeah, this one I probably should have been a little more prepared for.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm all prepared about this one, though.
Oh, yeah, Scene 6 Home. Okay. Freaking love that track.
Bum, bum, just that heavy.
Yeah. That's probably the heaviest one on here. And the last track on here is
Finally Free, yeah.
Finally Free is so freaking majestic. I love it. So, this is an absolute masterpiece.
This is where I think we can agree on the rating pretty much.
Yeah, there's nothing weak on this at all. This is a perfect album. It's a 10 out of 10.
Yep, absolutely. 10 out of 10. Yeah, obviously, this is legitimately, one of the greatest and one of the most important concept albums. As for the music, it's basically kind of the start of the modern Dream Theater sound, where they kind of mixture of the heavy in the heavy sounds and the melodic sounds and stuff like that. But I did want to mention, you mentioned about Through Her Eyes. That is, when I was listening, when I had just gotten back home, from Illinois and stuff like that, I played that because I knew because with the whole thing, that just made, because of losing my grandma and all that, I just started to cry with that song. That's the one. If there was ever a song from them that could easily make me cry, it was that one. There's only a couple that tend to make me cry in some cases, and Through Her Eyes is that one song on here, and it's just, because I was thinking about her, or when it was playing and stuff like that. It's just like it brings out all the emotion, the happiness, the sadness, and stuff like that. It's just like it brings out the best. This is when they really truly start bringing out the emotions, and that's, I think we can agree that this is this is perfect. This is a perfect album, pretty much from start to finish. The story is compelling, and yeah, perfect. 10 out of 10. Love it.
Absolutely.
But yes, not much change aside from this. I think that's where this album starts with the whole, I think the fans call it the meta album cycle, where the last sound on the last song carries over into the next one. And they do this, I think, for 4 albums, pretty much. And we get to, because obviously we get a little backstory about this next one. Originally they wanted to try and do the Falling into Infinity as a double album, but the record label said no. But now that they have full control of the band, they could. And we come to 6 degrees of inner turbulence.
Yes, sir.
Ben, take it away.
Man, I bought this when it came out too. I was blown away by this record, CD, whatever. Notably, the stuff on here that's heavy is the heaviest stuff they did up to that point.
Yep. We'll get to another album that kind of trumps that.
Like, good Lord, the Glass Prison, that track is so damn heavy.
Yeah, that's the start of the 12-step suite. The Glass Prison is
that's
the start of it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay. Yes. Such a killer track. I just love it, man. So heavy, so aggressive. You can get a bit of thrash metal thrown in there, which may be in a huge thrash fan. I love that stuff. Then you get Blind Faith. Blind Faith is another excellent freaking track. Now, I know some people complain that the intro is a bit too long. Possibly, but I like it. I like the build up to this track. I mean,
yeah.
This one's kind of weird, too. You get some psychedelic parts in this track, too, which is kind of interesting. All in all, I think this track's well written.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Blind Faith's another heavy one. My bad. That one's pretty heavy, too. I'm sorry about that. I'm thinking of Misunderstood.
Yeah, Misunderstood. Yeah, one of those. It has some heavy moments, but it's mostly that mixture of some of the heavy and the melodic stuff, especially the kind of like that. This is the one where I'm thinking they're starting to incorporate other styles. I listen to this one, and I instantly think there's some alternative bits in this. During the ballady stuff, you could hear something that'd be like, oh, I could think Creed could do something like that kind of sound and Misunderstood. You know, that beginning. It kind of got that Creed sound to me.
Yeah, it does have a bit of a different sound to it. Yeah, it kind of has like that radio rock feel to it.
Yeah,
obviously way too long to be played on rock radio.
Yeah, freaking 9 minutes. 9 minutes, 34 seconds. Like, yeah.
And even got parts of like psychedelia in here. It's kind of weird. Yeah. The Great Debate's a really good track too. I like this one a lot. You can definitely tell it's about 9/11. It's well written, Has a really good, powerful chorus in this track too, which I really like.
Yeah.
And Disappear is probably the slowest track on.
Yeah. It's also it's the shortest one too. It's 6 minutes and 46 seconds.
Well, this one to me almost has an alternative metal feel to it. It's definitely kind of out there. So then
the title track. The second disc, the title track, the 40-minute title track.
Yes, which is broken into 10 parts. Got Overture.
No, eight parts. 8 parts.
Damn, my eyes are fucking terrible.
Yeah,
you're right. 8 parts. Yeah, Overture.
Yeah, I believe Petrucci said it. They're all different case studies of mental disorders and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, this is where you're hearing their Pink Floyd side pretty much on this long epic.
Yeah, that and another album we'll get to as well later.
Like Overture is very classical. About the Crash reminds me of Pink Floyd so much. Worn Side of My Head's like a heavy, short tune. The Test. Goddamn. Oh, yeah, The Test Stumped Them All, right? Stumped Them All, excuse me. Yeah. That one kind of reminds me of something weird Pink Floyd would do. Good Night's kind of weird.
Good Night Kiss, yep. Solitary Shell. I think that's when I was reading the notes about that one. I think that's about people like me with the autism and stuff like that. The
You're right.
Asperger's syndrome. I think that's the one that I was like, because that's what it was. It resonated with me seeing that one and the lyrics and stuff like that. Because a lot of times, somebody like myself, especially when I was a lot younger, I was always kind of just in this that solitary shell where it's like, leave me the hell alone, and I'm shy. I'm just like, just leave me alone and all that stuff.
Right, absolutely. I know that feeling. Yeah, I mean it's definitely an interesting epic track for sure. It's weird. And it's meant to sound weird. Score wise, what do I give this album? I really, really like this album. Yeah. I'm gonna give this one probably a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, yep. Like I said, written first double album the band has ever done, but it wouldn't be the last, obviously. And we'll get to that one though. But yep, obviously the start of the 12-step suite, and then obviously, like I said, it's kind of the continuation of the sound. The whole kind of the heavier sound is definitely is starting to take over, much more apparent on this one. They still have the melodic stuff, but the heavier sound was more apparent on here. Absolutely love it. Glad that I have this one. It's just those first three on disc one that I'm like, fucking freaking fantastic. Glass Prison, the start of the 12-step suite, Blind Faith, freaking love. Misunderstood I freaking love it as well. Well, yeah, I absolutely fantastic album. I give it a 9.75. Yep. Then we get to not much else after that. A year later, we get to Train of Thought. If you thought this was heavy, this is heavy. And I got mine's like this with the, kind of like what they were in the 80s when CDs were starting, But yeah, freaking heavy. Ben, take it away.
7 tracks, a much shorter album, but their heaviest album to this day.
Yep.
As I Am begins things, just heavy. Almost sounds like fucking James Hetfield and the vocals.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. This is like their Metallica song, like easily.
Yep. As I Am.
And James even does a yeah. Yeah,
he does.
There. I'm like, oh, fucking shit, that's a stab at Metallica right there. Holy shit. And then the solo, my fucking God, the guitar solo on As I Am. If you ever wanted freaking a guitar rankery, I give to you As I Am solo section. God damn.
Yep, really, really good stuff. Then we get This Dying Soul.
The second,
really heavy song.
Yep, the second 12-step suite song.
Yep. Yeah, you're right about that. Yes, this one's a fucking crusher too. I mean, this one might be a turnoff because there is some new I've heard people complain about the rapping sections in this track, which I guess kind of gives it that new metal influence, which the track definitely don't sound new metal.
Nope.
But it's a crusher, and then we get my favorite track on here, Endless Sacrifice. What a great track. It begins like those old fucking Metallica ballads. It's got like that Sanitarium Fade to Black feel to it. It's really good stuff. Or even a band like Nevermore, when they do mellow tracks, it kind of has that feel. But yeah, really good track. You can definitely hear the Master of Puppets type of influence on this track. Oh,
yeah. If you ever wanted Drew Theater to do something Metallica, yeah, this is literally it. Them doing Metallica. Easily.
Oh, yeah. Then when it gets heavy, it just turns into a total jam session at the end. Great stuff.
Fair enough, Jason.
Is it Honor Thy Father? It's fucking hard.
Yeah, because they're all cursive. Honor Thy Father.
Okay, really good song too. Another heavy track. Self-explanatory. I think it's pretty good. Let's see.
Yeah, but it's a Portnoy's written song.
I apologize. I'm having trouble reading this one too.
Yep, then we got Vacant.
Okay,
The
yeah,
short,
okay.
the shortest one. It's a little Brie-penned song. It's just a ballad. And then obviously we get to what is it? Their last instrumental
Oh,
song for quite a while.
yes. That's right.
Stream of Consciousness.
Yep. Decent little instrumental. But then the epic track on here.
Yep.
My second favorite track on here. In the Name of God. What a killer ending to this album. Another heavy one. A dark one. Yeah, really good album.
Yeah, I believe this was the last. Yeah, this is the last one where it was mixed by Kevin Caveman Shirley. Because after this, he would go to focus solely on Iron Maiden after this one because he's not with them on the next one, pretty much.
No, yeah, this is it. Last one with Kevin Shirley.
Yeah, because he goes to Maiden after that.
Yep, the heaviest album in their catalog so far. Even though I think the new one comes kind of close, but we'll get to that.
There's a couple albums after this one that I definitely can think of. It matches the heaviness of Train of Thought for me. But
so
yeah, everything. Go ahead.
Score wise, I would give this album like a 9.2 out of 10.
Yeah, I love this album a lot. I think you're starting to see the. Yeah, I did mention apart from one album after this one, like you said, As I Am, the solo section from Petrucci. My freaking God, Jesus, that is, whoo! So just that, just all the shredding from Petrucci on that. My God, it's so damn heavy. Heavy. Just that's one of those vacant in a stream of consciousness. Just like, damn, like this is easily the heaviest thing. I give this a 9.75 out of 10. Fucking love it. Fucking heavy. Love it. Well, after this 2 years they do touring and stuff, and we get to Octavarium. Yep. Ben, take it away.
All right, so this album sees Dream Theater trying to go back to more of a image and words type of sound. Yes. Not near as commercial as Falling into Infinity, but it does bring back some of the melodies of images and words.
Yeah, I've written about that. I've written about that. It's more kind of like a prog rock sound a little bit. It's more lighter than what they were doing previously.
But man, there's some good stuff on this album. Like the beginning track, the opener, The Roots of All Evil.
Yep.
Excuse me. Good heavy track. I like it.
Yep.
But then we kind of slow down for a bit. And I can't look at my phone for these song titles because my screen...
I pretty much got them all. I can see them all on mine. And then it goes to The Answer Lies Within.
Okay, yes, The Answer Lies Within is a pretty mellow track. I mean, that track doesn't really stand out to me. It's kind of there, I guess. So then we got the next track, which is...
These Walls.
Yeah, These Walls. Pretty good song. I like this one, you know. It's not as heavy, but it's still a pretty darn good song. But man, if you thought, or wait a minute. Hold on a minute, I'm getting a little sidetracked here of these tracks.
I mean, that's fair.
All right, yeah, These Walls, okay. Walk Amongst You.
I walk beside you.
Yeah, this one's kind of a ballad. Again, one I don't really care for. It's just kind of there. But then if you thought the Train of Thought's heaviness was completely gone, oh, hell.
Panic Attack. Panic Attack.
Panic Attack is easily the best song on this album. It's the heaviest. It might even be heavier than some of the stuff on Train of Thought. And you get some thrash metal type of riffs on this one, too. Oh, man, in that midsection where Jordan Rullis and John Petrucci are doing that classical shit is epic. I got to see that live. This would have been the first time I seen Dream Theater. They played a new track from this, and they played Panic Attack at the time. Holy cow, it's excellent. What else is after this?
Never Enough is after this one, and then we get to the two longer songs after those.
Yeah, I don't have much memory of these last two tracks, or the two tracks, to be honest. But then we ended up, so I can't really say much about them. But then we get to the epic. This track, I think,
title
is
track.
Amazing. Octavarium. If you really want to hear the Pink Floyd influences of that beginning, that very atmospheric beginning, very Shine On You Crazy Diamond-like, that part is so freaking epic. The whole song's epic. Definitely one of Dream Theater's best epics. Now, I know there's probably 3 or 4 tracks on here I said I don't really care for, which would definitely weigh this album down. But the stuff I like on here, I really like. So to me, I would give this album probably an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Still a decent score.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, this is where it is starting to go a little bit down for me in this one. This one is kind of, I think to me, it is kind of the weakest out of this era of Dream Theater that I call the Masterpiece Machine era of this band. This is kind of the weaker one out of these, and this ends the meta album cycle thing. But yeah, like I said, it is kind of a weak one for me. You know, even though I have it, I don't necessarily go back to it that often. So I got to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. You know, it's a bump on the road for them, but they do pick back up. It's a little small minor bump in the road when it comes to it, but it's still got some killer stuff, like you said. The Root of All Evil, freaking Panic Attack in the title track. You know, I think the title track is easily their second best 20-minute song. We'll get to the other two later on in their discography. But yeah, that's at least it for me of all those until we get to a couple more after this one. We get to an. Oh, you were going to say?
Oh, I just wanted to point out one more thing. And notably, too, this would be their last album on Elektra Records, Octavarium.
Yes, because they went to Roadrunner after this. And they would be there for, I'm trying to think, 9 years after this one?
Yep.
8 or 9 years or something like that. 10 years. So that would be for a while. So they were going to be there for a while. So, yep. And we get to kind of an underrated album within that Masterpiece Machine era of them. A very underrated album, I definitely will say. 2007's Systematic Chaos. Unfortunately, I do not own this one. Eventually, I need to. So, Ben, take it away.
Oh, yes. To me, this is an underappreciated album in the discography.
Absolutely.
This one's dark. There is a lot of dark stuff on this one.
Yeah, you mentioned the Pink Floyd influence. This one does. This is the one that I think to myself, this one does, because they have bookending the album is their version of Shine On You Crazy Diamond in the presence of enemies, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah. That's a good beginner. I mean, it's dark. It's definitely heavy. Definitely has some of them Pink Floyd leanings to, as you can hear. I really like the opening track. Yeah, In the Presence of Enemies, Part 1, good stuff. Good way to begin the album. Forsaken is a really good track.
Yes. Forsaken
definitely kind of has a more like radio-friendly feel to it, but it's done really well. And boy, I'm going to say right now, I think Petrucci plays some of his best leads on this album. Because that guitar solo is amazing on that track. Constant Motion kind of sounds like it could have been a Metallica song. It really does. It kind of has
yeah. And I know that's a Portnoy Pen song on that one.
Yep. Yeah, that one has like a really good driving riff to it, a good heavy one. Oh, then we go back to even heavier territory. And this was the first track I remember hearing from this album back in 2007. The Dark Eternal Night. This might be up to that point their heaviest track. I mean, yes, there was some really heavy stuff on Train of Thoughts, and you had Panic Attack on the last album, but this one, it's just freaking heavy. And I noticed too, James's vocal delivery on this track sounds much angrier.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we got Repentant. Now this one's a weird one.
Second to last one. This is another 12-step sweep one. Root of All Evil was the third one. This is the fourth one. Yeah, this one's kind of the ballad one of the 12-step sweep one.
Yep. But this one, holy cow, it's so dark. This is such a dark track.
Yep. And it also has different people singing, doing some like a spoken word part. Like I think I saw they had I think Corey Taylor was involved in there. I think Michael Ackerfeld, Steven Wilson. Who did they have for that one? I'm trying to remember who did they have on that one. I'm just gonna pull it up here. But then again, you have the freaking album, so it's like you could probably tell who it is on there.
I know Dave Mustaine's on here on that track too. He does like a spoken word part. Michael Ackerfeld, like you said. Oh, who else?
Yeah, here's who they all had. Guest spoken words on Repentance. Corey Taylor, Steve Vai, Chris Jericho, David Ellefson, Daniel Gildenlou for Pain of Salvation, Steve Hogarth, Joe Satriani, Michael Ackerfeld, Steven Wilson, John Anderson, and Neil Morse. Neil Morse, who has worked with Portnoy before with Transatlantic.
Yes, really interesting. Yeah, but that track is so dark. Then we got Prophets of War. I really like this one too. It's the track. It's kind of weird. I love the beginning of this track. It almost has like an 80s new wave type of sound to it. It's really cool. But it's a good heavy track. Almost kind of has like an Images and Words type of vibe to it. Oh, then we get to, this track.
The epic, the longer songs pretty much. The Ministry of Lost Souls.
Oh. Fucking Petrucci's guitar playing on this track is godlike.
I think this is the one where I was like, it starts kind of ballady, and then it gets a little bit more heavier in some case.
Yeah, it's ballady, still dark. It definitely has a dark feel to it.
Yeah, but it's a nearly 15-minute epic. I was like, as soon as I heard this, I'm like, why is this ballad? This is supposed to be a long song for them. Why is it starting ballady? What?
But man, yeah, this one, it's got a really good heavy section to it too. But Jesus God, this ending guitar solos by fucking Petrucci. Godlike. Then we get to In the Presence of Enemies Part 2. Dark, heavy. There's parts of this track that are almost Merciful Fate-like. Such a good song. I mean, the atmosphere, man, is so good on this one. Some really good jamming, too, by Petrucci and Rudez. Excellent drumming by Portnoy. The ending of this track's almost frightening the way it ends. It's so dark.
Yep.
Oh, man, yeah. To me, this is definitely the dark horse in Dream Theater's catalog.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's a perfect 10 out of 10.
Oof. You might not like me for saying this one. I don't think it's perfect. I think for me, listening to this one, I had to listen to this a couple of times, but that back half did kind of wane on me a little bit. Because it was getting a little bit lengthy, and I could probably see why freaking Portnoy was getting creatively squeezed around this point and stuff like that. So I'm like, this was kind of feeling a little bit more drawn out a little bit, but I'm like, it was still great enough to where that first half, my freaking God, fantastic. I give this a 9.75 out of 10 for me. I thought that first half was really freaking great, so it kind of saved that album a little bit for me. Alrighty, we get to talk about the album that I got into them, Black Clouds and Silver Linings. Can you have it? I'm jealous. That's the one I want to get the most from them. So
I don't know, this is an interesting one. Yes, this is the final album of Mike Portnoy at the time. To me, this almost sounds like it could be a follow-up to Systematic Chaos.
Yeah.
But man, the opening track on here is so damn good. And at the time when they wrote this track, they were really influenced by Typo Negative. Obviously, A Nightmare to Remember. Such a great track.
Yeah.
You can hear that dark gothic sound too in this track. And
Yeah, definitely.
another notable thing on this track, you get blast beats.
Yeah, but like I said, Train of Thought wasn't the only one where they get heavy. This is one of those other ones where they do get heavy.
Yeah, this track is heavy. It's very dark. You get some thrashy parts in it. You get some very atmospheric parts in it. You even get that middle section where it kind of slows down and sounds a little bit happy. It's somber a little bit, but then it gets dark and heavy again. What a freaking great song. Then we get Rites of Passage, another really excellent song.
First one that I heard from them.
God damn, this song's well written too. It's got a really memorable chorus in it. Like, this could have been played on FM radio. It's so memorable.
Yeah, and they have a radio edited version of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember hearing it played on FM radio at the time, but it's good stuff. The weather kind of slows down a bit.
Yep, ballady track.
Not a bad track. It's all right. I like it. Okay, so then we get
the final 12-step suite. The final 12-step suite song, The Shattered Fortress.
Yes.
Basically, I think that's amalgamation of all the sounds they had on the previous 4 12-step suite songs, I believe.
Pretty much.
So you get stuff from Glass Prison, This Dying Soul, freaking Root of All Evil, Repentance. You get amalgamation of all the sounds from those, and you put them together, and you get this.
Yeah, I mean, this track, you can definitely hear parts that harken back to past albums, pertaining Train of Thoughts and Train of Thoughts and
6 Degrees?
6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. Thanks there, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely hear that. I mean, you can hear parts in there that are very reminiscent. It's a good track. I really enjoy it. The End of Times is kind of an odd one.
The best of times.
I'm sorry.
That's the one. That's the one he written about his father because his father had passed, I believe.
Yeah, this is it's a pretty emotional driven song.
Yeah.
Definitely a more lighthearted track on this record. Interestingly, too, musically, this kind of sounds like a Rush song, which is kind of cool. So I do like it a lot. But then we get the Court of Tuscany. Another great ender.
Yep.
Man, that midsection work, it's like super atmospheric. It's psychedelic and very Floyd-like. It's really cool. Now, there's parts in this song that are definitely dragged out, I think. So it's definitely not their best, but there's parts in it that are good. So for a final album of Portnoy,
at least for a while, because we'll get to the next one when he eventually comes back. Yeah.
So this one I would give probably a 9 point. Let me think here. I'm going to say a 9.5 out of 10. Still a lot of really good stuff on here.
Yeah. I'm gonna be the one that says obviously this is the one that got me into them, so I absolutely love this album a whole lot. And I was kind of debating if this was going to be this rating I'm about to give it. But once I heard the Best of Times, because I had never heard the epics on this one, so I wanted to listen to this one so I can listen to the epics, because I've only listened to the middle section, the mid section of this album. So that was Rite of Passage all the way to the Best of Times. The Best of Times was the more recent thing. I think it was the Best of Times that made me think it deserves this rating, because at least until we get to the new album, Portnoy went out with a perfect album. I gotta give this a 10 out of 10. It's a perfect album for me, and this is the one that got me into them. And finally listening to this, I was convinced that this is a perfect album for them. But like you said, Obviously, I think Become the Night basically put it best when, when Mike Portnoy came back. Obviously, Portnoy was feeling creatively squeezed and all that stuff, and he wanted the band to take a break, but they wanted to continue, and they eventually had to let him go. And they did several auditions to get a new drummer. I think some of them, I remember there were some people that were there. I can't remember, but I know there were two. Obviously, the one that would eventually successfully audition, that being Mike Mangini. But I also think Peter Wildewer, who was Labrie, who was the drummer for James Labrie's solo albums, as well as the drummer and kind of the harsh vocalist for Darkane. And I was thinking to myself, oh, that would have been instantly thinking like, holy shit, that would have been awesome if Peter Wildewer came on board, bringing harsh vocals into it. Like, I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, that would have been perfect. But they went with Mike Mangini.
Yep.
And eventually we get, but the whole album was already written before he came into the band. He just did his own feel to it. And so we get to probably my personal favorite Dream Theater album, A Dramatic Turn of Events. And I have the 2-disc one, which has the bonus DVD where they're trying to go through the drummer auditions. And so they had all the different people on it.
Got it too.
Yep. Mine has kind of seen better days, unfortunately, but it is what it is. But you got a better condition one, pretty much.
Oh yeah. Pretty good first effort, I gotta say.
Yep. I think the best effort Mangini. One of only 2 albums Mangini has done with the band that I think are fantastic, damn near even perfect. Well, I think this one's the best one he's done.
Yeah, man. This one is definitely much more lighthearted, I guess you could say. It's not as dark as the 2 albums that came.
Yes, there is a couple of heavy tracks. There's probably maybe 1 or 2 heavy tracks on this one.
So yeah, this is definitely them trying to go back to, and I know I've said
images and words, pretty much.
And I'd say this is definitely the album that's closest to that.
Yeah, especially on the back. Yeah, On the Backs of Angels is definitely beat for beat, even in the same length, because it's around the 8-minute length as Pull Me Under. It's basically On the Backs of Angels, Pull Me Under Part 2.
Tell you what, let me put on my magnifying glass here.
Yeah. This one's
been at it the whole entire time.
Yeah. On the Backs of Angels, easily. And this is one I could probably have a lot of talking about with this one, easily.
Oh, yeah, you'll definitely have more to say than I do.
Yeah, because I've listened to this so many damn times, it's not even funny.
All right, here we go. Okay, that looked a little better. So we got the opening track here.
On the Backs of Angels.
On the Backs of Angels. I think this is a really good track to begin things. Definitely has that classic images and words type of feel to it.
Yep, Pull Me Under easily. Definitely kind of feels like a modern Pull Me Under easily.
Oh, yeah, it's so good. Build Me Up, Break Me Down, another solid track on here, I think.
I hear there was the when they were singing the title, it's like, I hear a little bit like, it kind of sounds like screaming in there a little bit. It's kind of muffled, but it's like, I hear a little bit of screaming a little bit, like, yeah. Kind of like when you hear in the background, if you can hear closely, there kind of sounds like it's like some screams in there. It's not quite audible, but I hear it and I'm like, no, that's kind of something that I hear in there. It's like a little bit of some screaming in there.
Yeah, I can kind of hear that too, yeah. Lost, Not Forgotten. Not
Forgotten. Yeah, that's
good stuff. I mean, really good stuff. Let's see, This Is the Life, if I remember correctly, is kind of ballady.
Yeah, This Is the Life. I think this is one of those that when Portnoy came back, this was the one one of the 2 he played from the Mangini era.
Yeah, I think you're right about,
Yeah, on his recent tour since he came back.
Oh, man, these next 2 tracks are absolutely kill. Actually, I think never mind, the rest of this freaking album's killer from what I remember. Okay, Bridges in the Sky is so awesome. What a great track. I love it, man. Outcry's really good. Outcry is so good. That's like a perfect. Far From Heaven's a short little ballady track.
James Labrie written song, yeah.
Not pretty decent for a ballad. Breaking All Loose, it's this freaking killer. Hell yeah.
Yep.
And Beneath the Surface ends on a strong note. I really enjoy this record. It's one I need to definitely listen to a lot more, though. I mean, but from what I remember, this is really good. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I would easily give this probably a 9.7 out of 10.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of the outlier because I've listened to this album so damn much. Like since I got this, when it first came out, this is the one of the original copies of it that I got from them. God, I mean, everybody should know it's a perfect album for me. You know, like you said, On the Backs of Angels, you know, that poem, kind of a modern Pull Me Under. Like I mentioned, Build Me Up, Break Me Down. You know, the kind of like some screaming in the choruses when they were singing the song name. Lost Not Forgotten. Freaking like that one. I guess this was kind of the first 10-minute song of theirs I ever listened to. Oh wait, I heard Shattered Fortress before that, but I feel like for me that was the first one that I was have a clear conscience of listening to at the time. And then This Is a Life, a great ballad. Bridges in the Sky, freaking love it. It's probably, I think to myself, out of all the 10+ minute songs, it's kind of one of the weaker ones, but I still absolutely love it. Outcry, freaking love it. Kind of a pseudo heavy, kind of a heavy track a little bit, but it's not in the sense of not like Train of Thought heavy, but it's one of the heavy songs from them I have ever heard. And then Far From Heaven, freaking fantastic ballad. One of those that really kind of like another Through Her Eyes that really kind of did bring me to tears a little bit. Love it. Then Breaking All Illusions, freaking love it. And then close it out with Beneath the Surface, which I always thought, kind of reading the lyrics to it, I kind of thought it was an answer to maybe Mike Portnoy leaving and stuff like that. I feel like it might be, you know, with all the stuff that after he left and stuff, I feel like it's a message to him or something like that. But for what it is, they wouldn't put out another album as great as this. So I think everybody should know what rating I'm going to give this. This is a perfect 10 out of 10 for me. And that they never, and like I said, this is my favorite Dream Theater album of all time. And, you know, they don't reach this level afterwards pretty much. So 10 out of 10, a dramatic turn of events. Love it. Alrighty. Well, like I said, I fucking love it, but it's only downhill after this one.
Mm-hmm. Here comes the shit part of the show.
Yep, here comes the bad stuff. 2013 self-titled. Oh God. Ben, take it away.
Well, as you can see, I don't have it. I did have it. I don't own it no more.
Same here. I used to have it, but I don't have it anymore.
Okay, so this album. Okay, what was the tracks on that one?
Well, let me look.
Trying to remember here.
So
there's one track on this I do like.
I pulled it up here. Let me scroll down or scroll back up here. False Awakening Suite, which is just a 2-minute instrumental intro. Holy shit, I just realized it. Holy crap. Freaking the song False Awakening Suite has a song from Parasomnia, Night Terrors. I just realized that. But yeah, False Awakening Suite, The Enemy Inside, The Looking Glass, Enigma Machine, which is their first instrumental since Stream of Consciousness from Train of Thought, The Bigger Picture, Behind the Veil, Surrender to Reason, Along for the Ride, and their weakest 20-minute song, Illumination Theory. That is the track listing.
All right, so what was track 2 or 3 you meant? What was that one again?
The Enemy Inside.
Okay, that's the one I like. That one is killer. That's the heavy one on there I like.
Yeah, that is a heavy one. Yep.
I don't know. To me, on this record, they just sounded like they were uninspired.
Yeah, it's like that, and I will mention this, but then you get like next song, "The Looking Glass," which is their take on "Limelight" from Rush.
Pretty much. I see. I don't have like a ton of memory of this album. I just remember at the time not really being into it. And yes, the epic track is very boring.
Yep.
Yeah, this album.
Yeah, it's yes, the music is, I say, good, but I guess I can pull myself up here. This album is good. The problem I have with it is the production and the mix and the sound of it. It's got some heavy stuff, but the thing I did not like about this one was it sounded too glossy for me. It sounded like something that a pop artist or band would make, produce, and mix. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, it didn't have much bite. And yeah, I do think the songwriting does suffer on this one. I mean, people have their opinions. And the album cover is fucking horrible. Oh, that album cover is atrocious.
Yeah, it's just the Majesty logo, and they're on the freaking planet. It's like, come on, you could have done better.
Yeah, like I said, there's one track on it I really like. The other tracks I just don't remember.
Yeah, but like, what would you give this? Because I give this an 8.5 out of 10.
Ooh, that's too. I'm gonna give this one probably a 7 out of 10.
Yep.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, but at the very least, this has some heavy moments on here. Yes, but you thought it couldn't get any worse. Oh God, it does.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yep, here we go.
I need some
2016's The Astonishing, also known as, amongst all of us, we've always jokingly called it The Astonishing. My God, what were they freaking thinking?
And this is the only Dream Theater album I've never owned.
I don't want to get, if I see this at something like a Goodwill or a thrift store and it's cheap, that's the only way I'm ever going to buy it. I'm never want to touching this brand new, ever.
I remember hearing the first single off this album and just not liking it.
Yeah,
it's like, what the hell happened here? Are we trying to be... yeah, what happened here? Are we trying to be...
I will say about this, because I'm glad he's back, but I'm like, I remember I was kind of excited it was a double album. I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe they might do something that's like a mixture of Metropolis Part 2 and 6 Degrees or something like that. No, Brody came to me and told me it's nothing but 2 hours of Disney music.
Yep.
Or if I'm going to put it lightly, here. This is them trying to do something that they should not do. Like, I'm open for them doing a concept album. Just make it like a heavy progressive metal concept album. Doesn't need to be this.
I mean, all right, fine, A for effort, but it flopped. And to me, there's way too much noodling on this album. Way too much Jordan Roulette. Yeah, Jordan Roulette's keyboard
and
on this.
It's just like, yeah, if this was, like I said, and we were speaking before we went live, this album did not need to be 2 hours long.
Right.
It's too long, too damn long. If you had cut it down to maybe 80 to 90 minutes, maybe 100 minutes, I'd be fine with that or something like that. Cut it down. Get rid of some of the shit on this. I don't know if there was any songs I liked, but there was some heaviness that I was going back to when I was listening to this. But for the most part, I think the music for me is, it is kind of like, it's kind of the mix of the heavy and melodic stuff, but it really did not need to be freaking 2 hours long. So I got to give this one, I've given this one a 7.75 out of 10.
Oh boy, you guys aren't going to like my ranking for this one. I remember listening to this when it came out on YouTube back in 2016. I'm thinking to myself, like, within like 40 minutes of the album, is this thing over yet? Is it done yet? And it just kept going on and on and on. I'm like, oh, come on. Well, here comes the lowest ranking yet. A 4 out of 10.
Ooh. There was a point I was thinking to myself giving this somewhere either between a 6 and 5 out of 10. But I'm kind of glad I went back to this and thinking, okay, there's some semblance of good. It just didn't need to be 2 hours long. That's the problem I have with this album. It did not need to be 2 freaking hours long. It is still their worst album, but God. Oh my God.
And at the time, too, they tried playing the whole entire album live, and people were actually leaving the venue because they were bored.
Yeah, I was like, why would I stick around for 2 freaking hours? Like, no.
Like Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility, I remember his story about when he went to see this tour. He actually left because he was bored.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how people did not care about this one. You know, it's just like, I remember giving this, I think, a 7.5 when I originally reviewed this. And yeah, I was thinking at times, I was thinking it was going to get worse. I was thinking maybe giving it a 5.5 or 5 or between a 5 and 6 out of 10. But I'm kind of glad I went back to it. And it's like, the music is, you know, it's still Dream. They're just like, just don't make it 2 hours long. If it was one disc, you could have done this in one disc. Like, come on. No.
Right.
Well,
but there would be a little bit of redemption.
Yes, we get to, I don't have this one. I don't know if you do, but we get to, you know, what you need to do to wash your hands from something like this. You try to make an album that saves space, and, you know, it gets you into the step in the right direction. 2019's Distance Over Time. Oh, you got it. Wow.
I do.
All righty. Well, then, since you got it, talk about this album that basically saved them, pretty much.
Right. So this album's definitely much shorter. I think it might be one of the shorter Dream Theater albums.
Yes,
I think it clocks in barely 50 minutes.
Yeah, I believe it's like 56 or so odd minutes, I believe.
Yeah,
56 minutes and 57 seconds. It is, they mention here, what did they say? This is over time, blah, blah, blah. Trying to think of where does it say it is. At just under 57 minutes, not including a bonus track, This Is Over Time is Dream Theater's first studio album with a runtime under 1 hour in length since 1992's Images and Words, and their shortest since the band's 1989 debut, When Dream and Day Unite.
Yep. I mean, I think it's a good album. I mean, I kind of like that the songs are a little shorter on here. And this one brings back some of the heaviness, too, which was definitely missed. So, yeah, there's...
And I think they also made it a little bit raw as well. It's a little more raw in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's got a bit of a rawer production for what Dream Theater is. So, yeah, I mean, there's stuff on here that's super good.
Yep.
Untethered Angel, I think, it's a good opener. Yep. I like it. Paralyzed is good. Fall Into the Light's not too bad.
Barstool Warrior, which is I think the other track Portnoy has played from this era since he's come back.
Oh, yeah. Well. Interesting. Yeah, that one's a pretty good one. I like it.
And then we get the one and only song Mike Mangini wrote in the band, Room 137.
Yeah, this one, I'm kind of having a little trouble remembering this one. So we'll put it at that. Then we get S2N.
S2N.
At Wit's End. Okay, that's a good one, too. I like that one.
9 minutes, the longest song on here, 9 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, which is really weird for Dream Theater, you know, to do a song under 10 minutes long.
Yep. And it is the longest on here.
Let's see, what's this one?
Out of Reach.
Out of Reach, okay. Pretty decent, you know. And Pale Blue, what is that?
Pale Blue Dot. Pale Blue Dot.
Oh, Pale Blue Dot. Okay. Yeah, that one I'm kind of struggling to remember too. So, okay, this is a decent comeback. It's a perfect no.
Yep. Nope.
Like I think around this time is where memorability is starting to kind of suffer on their albums. Like I said, there's a couple tracks on here I'm struggling to remember.
There's better albums that were coming out in 2019, and that wasn't one of them. I instantly think when I think of 2019 albums that were fantastic, especially in the prog sphere, I instantly think freaking Devin Townsend, Empath, and Tool's Fear Inoculum. And this one doesn't even come close to those two at all.
No, not at all. But I mean, there's good stuff on it. Like I said, it's definitely them.
Yeah,
it's definitely
a step
redemption.
Yeah, a step in the right direction for them, because this is like
Step
at least it's prog metal in some case. Yeah, the songs are shorter, but they needed to do something that's like that saves saves them. Basically.
I mean, I would give this probably an 8 out of 10 to be generous.
I think I give it a little bit higher. I give it a 9. But yeah, I don't have much to say about this one. Yeah, it's a step in the right direction for them, which leads us to Mangini's final album with the band and them back to return to form A View from the Top of the World.
Yeah. There we go.
Finally, this is where I'm like, this is where what they should have done after a dramatic turn of events. This is fantastic.
Yes, this is much improved.
Yes.
Definitely the second best with Mangini. Yeah, I'd definitely say the second best.
Yeah, it's not beating. It is definitely not beating this one, but it's definitely a good solid one, a good second to it. It is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's a bad song on this, to be honest. The Alien is so good.
Yeah, that was like, I was kind of questionable about that one, but when we'll get to the next one that would later be a single. But geez, yeah, that was a great opener. 9 freaking minutes, like.
Right. Trying to remember which one was the single off here. Was it no?
Yeah, the Alien was the first single.
Oh yeah. That's the one. Okay. Now it's coming back to me. Yeah.
That one I was kind of skeptical. It was like, are they really back? But it was when we'll talk about Invisible Monster. That's when I'm like, okay, yep, they are fully back. Yes.
I mean, track 2 answering the call. It's okay.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I will say about that. It's the solo section reminded me of the solo section from A Rite of Passage.
Yes, that's a good point.
That's one where I'm like, that is the one that I was like, I was listening to that. I'm like, that sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before? And I was like, oh shit, that's that's like the solo section from Rite of Passage. I'm like, hell yeah. It's like, whoa. They were so back on that one.
Oh yeah. Invincible Monsters.
Fuck yeah. No,
That's a fucking awesome track.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
Man.
That's when I was like, yes, Dream Theater are back.
Yes, really good track. Best in quite a while, too.
Yeah.
So then we got Sleeping Giants, which is a really good track, too, I think.
Yep.
Notably, too, there's some heavy stuff on this one, too. I think this is where...
we'll get into that one shortly in this one.
I think this might be the album where he started using 8-string guitars on some tracks.
We're about to get to that one here shortly.
And if I remember... No, it's not that. Okay, I think I remember which track it is.
Transcending Time.
Good
Great.
stuff.
Kind of like that melodic Dream Theater song.
Yeah,
You mentioned the 8-string guitar. Awaken the Master. Oh hell yeah. Oh my god, yes. That's the one I was like, as soon as I was hearing like, oh wait, this is the 8-string track. This is the 8-string track, and I was so excited about I love it. Bird.
That track is fucking good. It's heavy. Brings you back to the days of Train of Thoughts. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so damn heavy.
And A View from the Top of the World to end the album.
Yep. Their first
good ending.
They redeemed the third best 20-minute song from them. the title track. And it's a coincidence. All of them, aside from Illumination Theory, but to be fair, that is their worst. But all of them, all the 20 minutes have been title tracks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Good comeback, though.
Yep, absolutely. They're fully back at this point.
But
I can't give it. Yeah, I haven't talked about this a little bit. Yeah, like you said, everything. The Alien was the one I was like, I kind of a little bit skeptical at the beginning of it. I was like, but then when I heard Invisible Monster, friggin', that's when I was like, oh yeah, Dream Theater are back, basically. Answering the call, like I said, the solo section reminded me so much of A Rite of Passage. So Passage's solo section, like, my God, it just reminded me so much of that. Like I said, Invisible Monster, fantastic. Sleeping Giant, great. One of the only two epics on here. Transcending Time, and Awaken the Master, and yeah, A View from the Top of the World. Mangini went out with a banger of an album.
Yep.
Album that, he got back. This is, and for the most part, freaking fantastic album. I can't say it's perfect, but for the most part, this is a fully return to form Masterpiece Machine era, part 2, starting with this one. But yeah, like you said, things are about to get good, because after this one, it was like, I remember it was like, I didn't know. I woke up and
wait, did we score this one?
I gave it a 9.75.
All right, I'll give it a 9 just a 9 out of 10.
Yep. But like you said, that's the last with Mangini, and this was around 2013, I think, in October. Mike Portnoy returned to Dream Theater. I remember seeing that. I was like, I was going through the kitchen. I think I just woken up, and then I was scrolling on my phone, and I see Mike Portnoy return to Dream Theater. I was like, wait, that can't be right. That's got to be fake. And then as soon as I saw this, I freaked the fuck out. Like, ah! I legitimately freaked the fuck out, seeing that he came back, and that they were going into the studio with him for what is essentially their 16th album, and I guess you could say a thematic and the brand new album. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. Brand new album, Parasomnia.
Oh yeah, here we go now. I gotta admit, people, I've only had one listen to this album, but I gotta say it's freaking good. And it's gonna be really, really hard to score this one.
Yeah, I've had more listens to this one.
All right, so I don't have the track listing in front of me.
I got my phone on here. Starts off with an instrumental, which is the only one where he is using an H string on there, In the Arms of Morpheus, which was just kind of a small instrumental that leads into, because that's the only time they're using H string, because the rest of the album is completely 6 string, basically.
Fucking
yes.
That intro is so damn good. It's so dark. It's
heavy.
Like, yes, this is what I want to hear.
Yes.
Definitely takes me back to like Systematic Chaos and
Black Clouds.
Black Clouds, yes.
Yep. They pick up right where they left off from Black Clouds, basically, on this.
All right.
Yes. And then Night Terror.
Oh my God, so the track after that, oh my God.
Night Terror.
Yeah, Night Terror, yes. That's the first single I believe they released. If I'm right. Yeah, okay.
Yep, they did. I'm like, yes, he is back.
Yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, you know what? This feels like Dream Theater again. Nothing against Mike Mangini. He did a great job, but something about Portnoy being gone was missing on those other albums.
Exactly.
Now it's fully back. Night Terror is such a killer song. Yes. Man, it's so good.
Yep. And then we get to A Broken Man.
Oh Lord, I love it. That song is so fucking heavy. It's definitely one of the heaviest tracks on this new album. So heavy, so dark. I love the lyrics in this track, man. It just describes somebody being broken, basically.
All of this always has to, in a nutshell, I think all of these have to do with sleep disorders and stuff like that. That's what he says. This is the sleep disorder version of 6 Degrees. Basically, that's what all these are, but it's more of like in a full length. This one, I knew as soon as I was like hearing the lyrics and stuff like that, I instantly thought the one thing that I can instantly pinpoint this as post-traumatic stress disorder, aka PTSD, in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Yeah, that song fucking rules. I love it.
Don't get Dead Asleep, I think, is one of the epics on here.
Oh, I love it too. That one really hit me too.
That's kind of a sleepwalking thing, I believe.
Again, another track that has some really good heavy rips in it too. I like it.
Oh yeah, just remembering the all that, like just the vocals, that was make me think to myself, those are really great. And then Midnight Messiah.
Oh.
This one, I believe I have. This is the one that's kind of like, because A Broken Man was in like D standard. I think this is in C standard.
C, yeah, it's in C. Yep.
My freaking God, and all the Easter eggs in this song. I think this whole album is basically Easter eggs and stuff like that. But the nods to other songs from Portnoy on this, I instantly think they say, like an uncanny, strange deja vu, constant motion, you know, and then there was it like a sword piercing this dying soul, for Christ's sake. My God, all the lyrical nods to songs that Portnoy wrote. I'm like, this was so cool. It's so dang heavy. It's
heavy.
Oh, yes.
Thing I noticed too, you hear a lot of John Petrucci on this freaking record, which I love. He's doing some incredible guitar work on this fucking album.
Exactly. Yep, then we get to Are We Dreaming?
That's a good one too. I like that too.
Just a little interlude song that then goes into kind of a ballady track, Bend the Clock. Kind of has this was the first time I heard this one. As soon as I was hearing kind of that alternative, kind of that Creed, like those that kind of harkens back to Misunderstood a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. Yeah,
but the alternative ballady kind of guitar where you would think, oh, Creed or a Breaking Benjamin or something like that could write that, and it's like Dream Theater can do it just as great, maybe even better than those. And I love all those alternative bands. I love Breaking Benjamin. I love Creed. But I think Dream Theater does it better, and this is the first time they've done something like this in a while. I was like, this was really great ballady track.
Yeah, I enjoyed that track too. I liked it a lot.
Yep, and then it closes out
Ooh.
with a 19-minute song. It's kind of ironic that both albums, I think Count of Tuscany on Black Clouds was 19 minutes. Over 19. It's kind of ironic. All the albums that Portnoy, the last albums Portnoy were on, ends with a 19-minute track. In this case, we get the Shadow Man Incident.
Oh my God, this track's incredible. I still kind of remember it too. Man,
yeah, there was a part in there that made me think, well, it was like that. Yeah. That kind of like from Metropolis. I'm like, holy shit, that's kind of like, oh my God, that's kind of like Metropolis a little bit. It's really freaking cool.
But my goodness, Portnoy and Jordan Rudess really shine on this track with their solo work. It stands out so much. I mean, they're doing like classical shit. It's so good. I mean, I don't know how else to really put it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that it's like a dark epic too.
Yeah, it's very dark. Like, my God, a great way to end, to me, a fantastic album from them. Great comeback for Portnoy. Yeah, I basically written down, and like I said, while it's not, I can't wait. Obviously, this easily, outside of A Dramatic Turn of Events, this trumps all the other Mangini albums easily. I got to give this a 9.75 out of 10. What about you?
All right, so I've only had there's a couple songs on this I knew, like the singles I knew, but the rest of the album I still need to really adjust. I need to get used to it or whatnot, and I will be getting a copy of it so I can spend time with it. For now, I'm still going to give it roughly like a 9.5 out of 10 because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, not too
This
far
could,
from mine.
but this one could. If I get more listens, this one could go up to a 10 out of 10. I think it's that
Yeah.
damn good.
I don't know if it could get a 10 because I do still think A Broken Man for me is kind of the weak point on this album. Whereas I like all the other songs on this album, I do still think it's still some weak moments, maybe over time. It might take a little bit more listens. I've had more listens up to this than you did. So, like I said, this was, after listening to this album several times. So, yeah, that's all of them. So,
Yeah, I was just happy Portnoy was back and the darker, heavier sound was back.
Yep.
But anyway.
All right, now we get to the ranking, the worst to best. I think it's blatantly obvious which one is last.
Yep, the astonishing.
Yep, that's the last. That is the last one. Number 15.
Okay, number 15 for me is going to be the self-titled.
Same. It's the same. It's the same for me as well. Number 14.
Let's see, number 14 for me is probably going to be Falling into Infinity.
Ooh, I have the debut When Dreaming Day Unite at number 14. Number 13.
Just trying to organize here quick.
Yep, trying to organize them all as well.
It's going to be number 13 for me. When Day and Dream Unite.
When Dream Day Unite, okay. So we're at number 13 right now, right? So my number 13 is Distance Over Time. Number 12.
Number 12 would be, let me look here. Still trying to. Yeah, number 12 would be this one, Distance Over Time.
Yeah, my number 12 is Falling into Infinity. Number 11.
Number 11 would be. All right. Octavarian.
Same. We got the same number 11. Number 10.
All right, so now we get into the top. Okay, I got to get that one out of there. We're not ranking that one. Number 10 would be. Wow, this is getting tough. Oh, okay. Number 10 would probably be. Because now we're getting into like near perfect. Is there an album?
Almost perfect. I think some of these are like, for me, I had a lot of 9.75, so this is starting the 9.75 for me.
Okay, I know this seems pretty freaking low. I'm going to go with Awake for number 10.
A View from the Top of the World is my number 10.
All right. Now we're at what, number 9?
Yep, number 9.
Well, this one of you at the top of the world.
Awake for me is number 9.
Interesting.
We swap our 9 and 10.
We agreed on one and we swamped one.
Yep, we swapped on one. Yep. Number 8.
Number 8's going to be. Yeah. Wait a minute. You know what number? Oh, man, this could be kind of controversial.
Well, I'll go with my number 8. It's the new album.
The new one?
Yep, Parasomnia.
You know what? I'm going to put the new one at number 8, too.
Oh, nice.
That seems fair since I'm not, like, overly familiar with it.
Yeah, it's yep. Number 7.
Number 7 for me, it's going to be this one, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence.
My number 7 is Systematic Chaos.
Ooh. All right, we're at number 6.
Yep.
All right, so now we're getting into great territory here. So at number 6, this one, A Dramatic Turn of Events.
Train of Thought for me.
Ooh. All right, top 5.
Yep. We're getting close to perfect here.
All right, so All right, I think I got it figured out here. Number 5 for me is going to be. You know what? Number 5 is going to be Train of Thought.
6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence for me is number 5.
Number 4, the final one with Portnoy. Black Cloud.
Same. It's the same for me as well.
There we go. 2 for 2.
Okay. Number 3.
Okay, number 3 is fucking hard, people, because these are all 10 out of 10 albums to me. It's one by.
I know number 1 isn't going to be the same for us, though.
Probably not. Because I'm looking
at you already showed my number 1, so.
Oh, yeah. All right, number 3 for me is going to be Metropolitan Scenes from a Memory.
My number 3 is Images and Words.
Ooh. All right, well.
We're at another. I'm assuming it's another, or maybe it's another swap. I don't know if it is, but.
All right, well, we're gonna have 2 different albums for number 1s that people would not put at number 1. All right, number 2, Images and Words.
Metropolis Part 2.
Ooh. All right, number 1.
I think it's
Systematic Chaos, number 1.
A dramatic turn of events at number 1 for me. I mean, it's blatantly obvious for me. I love this album so much.
Right. A totally different ranking from anybody's Dream Theater.
We had some matches, though. I'm like, we had a swap in 2 matches. Like, I'm surprised by that. But yeah, any closing remarks before we end this, Ben?
Any closing remarks? Thanks to Metal John and Jason for tuning in for this.
Yep.
Hope you guys liked it or got something out of it.
Yep, it is what it is, Jason. But we agreed on Octavarium somehow. We agreed on that one. I'm like, how on earth do we agree on Octavarium? And I think we had we had 9 and 10 were swapped pretty much.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I'll say the dark horse, though, even though it's not a studio album, is this one that changes.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, love
perfect.
If I had to put this on here, though, it would definitely be number 3. Easily. It's perfect. Yeah. The song is perfect. It would be number 3 for me.
It's perfect. Even the cover medley, it's freaking amazing. Hell yeah. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have.
Yep. Closing remarks. I can't wait for when they put out new stuff. So I'm glad Portnoy is back. I don't know how long this will be, though, but let's all enjoy the ride that we're on for this. What could be possibly the final run of Dream Theater. So, what do you got planned on your channel, Ben?
Well, you know what? There might be a radio show tonight.
Oh, cool.
So, and it's been a week since I've done one, so if you guys are bored, you want to listen to some tunes later on, you know where to find me, Metal Ben's Chronicles.
Yep. I think for me is obviously we were going to originally have Black Sabbath Part 2 next week, but unfortunately due to Ben's work schedule, that's probably not happening. So I have delayed that for hopefully the final time to May. The end of May is when that's happening. But I think after that, aside from that, I do have something planned for March. Obviously, I got the tournament thing, which will determine who will be getting the 2-part deep dives in April. They'll probably be at the end of the month. So, obviously, that's going to be happening. I'll make a video on here and on Instagram. I don't know about in Facebook group, but I think I've only listened to Dream Theater, and I think a band called Bloodbark. But those are the only new ones I have listened to from this year so far, because I've had just working on deep dives and stuff for that. But yes, obviously one of the mini deep dives at the end of the month in March will be for a death metal, one for melodic death metal that I title the death metal with melody mini deep dive, which will consist of the following bands: I think it has Hate Eternal. Yeah, Hate Eternal. No, the Halo Effect. Not Hate Eternal. The Halo Effect. Solution .45. Death Clock, Be'lakor, and Winter Sun. So that's at the end of March. Obviously, I got the tournament that's starting tomorrow for who will get the deep dive in the 2-part deep dive in April. So make sure that some of you, if you have Instagram or on YouTube and on Facebook, I do have a Facebook group. It's a private group. So I think some people are in there. I will be doing them all over on there, and I'll explain rules for all of those on there. But I think that's all coming up after that. I think I got some in May, which would obviously be Black Sabbath Part 2 deep dive, as well as the delayed Creed and Friends mini deep dive, which will just basically be me. So I think that's all that I got after that. June is probably an off month, so still trying to figure out what is next for the channel after that. But thank you to Metal Ben for being here for this almost 2-hour long deep dive for Dream Theater. If y'all enjoyed this, click the like button or the dislike if you didn't. It's fine. Comment below your thoughts on all of these albums from Dream Theater and about Dream Theater. And if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button. So yeah, thank y'all for watching. This has been me and Ben's deep dive for Dream Theater. We will see y'all later. And as always, keep things metal. We will see y'all later. Or maybe over at his stream at his radio show tonight.
Hell yeah.
Until then, later.
Peace.